Jai Hind. My name is Vivek Agarwal. I'm the assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of AKGEC. So today we are going to discuss the topic NIST Cloud Computing Reference Architecture. Sometimes we call it Cloud Computing Reference Model as well. So we will going step by step to understand concepts and all the key elements of this model. So in general, if we talk about the reference architecture, it can be called as a blueprint, and this is written a blueprint. Kind of a blueprint is this, which provide us the small informations, the key information about the model, about the things, about the key elements, about the components of the model, and how they are interconnected to each other, and how they are correlated to each other, and how they are complementing to each other, and how they are basically providing the ultimate the final solution or the final problem resolution in the coordination of each other. So in all, we can call it like it's a conceptual model. The reference model can be called as the conceptual model, to which basically focused on the technical requirements and the operation of the cloud computing. So as I said, it's kind of a blueprint, and already I just discussed, like it's a composition of blueprint is the composition of interconnected services and implementing reusable logics, etc., etc. So this is the model we are going to discuss in detail in the next slide. We would be focusing on each elements, how they are, what are these elements, and what are the services, what are the activities they need to perform, and how they are related to each other, and how they are communicating to each other. So all in all, as a key point, we can say it's a high level architecture. So the architecture could be of high level and the low level as well. In the case of high level architecture, we need there used to be the information of major components and how they are coordinated to each other. In the low level architecture, the main focus is over their services. Like if we choose this as a part, cloud service provider, then in the low level architecture there would be more focused about these small elements, how these activities are being performed and how they are being performed comfortably in the correlation of each other. In the high level architecture, we would be more focusing about these actors or these entities and how they are coordinating to each other, what are their major activities they are performing in this model. So there are the 5 major activities. So we are going to discuss in this model their roles, their responsibility, and what are the activities and functions they perform in this model, and how they are correlated to each other, and they are complementing to each other. So first would be the cloud consumer, second would be the cloud provider, or we can say the cloud service consumer, cloud service provider, cloud broker, cloud auditor, and cloud carrier. We can understand cloud consumer is a ultimate user of the services provided by the cloud service provider, or we can say by the cloud. Cloud consumer may be any individual person or maybe any organization. If we talk about the cloud service provider, generally they used to be a proper organization. They are having a proper data centers, maybe a single data centers, maybe the multiple data centers. Already we had discussed in our previous lectures. So cloud service provider is ultimately responsible for managing the infrastructure, for deploying the infrastructure, for deploying the services, and for providing the services, or I must say the provisioning of the services. So the major, as we can say in this diagram also, the major partition is, I must say, the 80% of the model is being contributed by the cloud service provider. So we are going to understand the cloud service provider in detail. What are their major activities, what are their major roles and responsibility they are performing. But as a summary, we can understand cloud service provider are the generally they are the organization, but it may be any individual also. There is no constraint, but in most of the cases, cloud service provider are a proper set of organizations who are providing the cloud services to the other users, maybe individual or maybe some organizations too. Next actor is cloud broker. Cloud broker is kind of a third party person. We can call it like a third party person or third party organization or we can say a third party entity who is neither executing or utilizing the cloud services nor providing the services. It is an intermediary between the both. It functions like an intermediate or mediator between the cloud consumer and the cloud service provider. Broker can have its own functionality, its other activities. Like the major activity of the broker is to integrate multiple cloud service provider on a single platform, as the consumer can opt the best suitable service for him or her. So cloud brokers we are going to discuss in detail in the further slides. Cloud auditors may be any individual person or maybe any proper organization. Generally they used to be the outsider of neither the cloud consumer side nor the cloud provider side. They used to be a third party or the separate entity, maybe government initiated, maybe any private initiated organization or any individual person recognized by the any standard organization or maybe the any government organization. So main part of the cloud auditor is to audit the services, the quality of services provided by the cloud service provider. Like if we can understand using an example. If any organization is relying on the cloud service provider, then it is relying 100% on for their business activities too on the cloud service provider. In any case, if the cloud service provider is not provisioning the services as per their I must say their commitments, then who is going to audit the things? Like cloud service provider is functioning, is relying on its statement, its agreement or not. So cloud auditors used to be there to audit the quality of services provided by the cloud service provider and to analyze the other things also, other parameters also. So in the further slide we are going to have a detailed discussion on this. And lastly is a cloud carrier. Cloud carrier is just like an, we can see it is placed here. Cloud carrier is a base, or I must say a connection base through which these entities are interconnected to each other and communicating to each other. Like there are cloud consumers, there are various cloud auditors, there are various cloud service provider, and there are various cloud brokers. And but for ultimately provisioning, for ultimately the service provisioning, they need to be communicate to each other. They need to exchange some data. They need to exchange other things also. They need to exchange their maybe APIs. They need to share. They need to share their functionalities to each other. So for sharing all these things, they need a channel. They need a platform through which they can transfer the things to each other. So for that the cloud carrier is responsible. So in the further slides we would be seeing how this cloud carrier is making a medium among these actors and how they are communicating to each other. Okay, so this is a model. This is the ultimate model to which we are discussing here. So let me start with the cloud consumer. So already we had discussed cloud consumers are the ultimate end users who are utilizing the cloud services provided by the cloud service provider. Okay, so before starting this, we can understand two things here. In the whole discussion of this model, we are going to focus on two things. The first is actors and their roles. Like there are already we had discussed in the previous slide, there are the major 5 actors. So we are going to discuss in detail like what are the actors and what are their actual roles. And secondly is architectural components. What are the architectural components there which are being managed or handled by these actors? So if we categorize them, there may be majorly 5 major components at the cloud cloud service provider side. First is the deployment. Deployment simply means the deployment of the services. Like cloud service provider is providing the services, provisioning the service, but before provisioning them, you need to set up, you need to deploy the services. For example, any cloud service provider is providing storage as a service, then that service provider will have to set up a proper or need to deploy the storage at its data centers as it could be provisioned to the consumers. Yes, so that is the deployment. Next is the orchestration. Orchestration in the reference of cloud computing can be understood like the ultimately the management of the resources available at the cloud service provider end. And professionally or technically we can define it like the process of automating the management of the cloud resources. Yes, the term is resources, the management of the resources and to automate them, such as storage, computing and the network, etc., etc. In the previous lecture we had gone through the in detail what are the various resources used to be there on the cloud service provisioning. Next is the management of the services, how these services is being provisioned to the consumer and post delivery of the service, post subscription of the service there must be various other activities, we can call them like after sales services and some other things also to be managed by the cloud service providing side. Next is the security and privacy. Security and the privacy is already we had discussed an important concern in the case of cloud computing. So it is also need to be tackled simultaneously. So there are various actors, specifically cloud service provider, who is ensuring the service security and the privacy among their services using various methodology like authentication, maybe IAM, maybe some other technology also they can deploy. Ultimately I can assure you, I can tell you one thing, like there are the cloud service provider, they used to spend a hefty amount to ensure the secure and the privacy of the cloud service consumers. So these are the major architectural component which are to be managed and handled by these actors. So already we had gone through the actors, as already I told, like consumers, provider, broker, auditor and the carrier. Carrier may can separate it, but if we talk about these four things, consumer, provider, broker and auditor, they could be any individual person or maybe any organization too. Means at the consumer side it may be any individual or organization providing also the service provider, cloud service provider may be any organization as well as maybe any individual also, but generally they used to be cloud they used to be an organization. Broker again, it may be any individual or maybe any organization. Yes, likewise the auditor may be any individual person or maybe any organization also providing the service. Carrier generally used to be provided by some already established network companies, networking companies already, because they are having a proper setup for providing these things. So they generally used to be organizations. So in brief, in summary, we can call it like consumers acquires and uses the service, provider the vendor of the service who are provisioning the service to the consumers, brokers are the intermediate between the consumer and the providers for various activities. They hide the complexity of the services or create new services. They can integrate various service provider to provide a single service as a single service also. Auditor are the independent performance, security monitoring and assessment organization or individual of the cloud services to ensure the quality of the services. If we're talking about the auditor, its main purpose is to ensuring the quality of services. So this is the main model. Already we had discussed brief things about these things. So let's start with the cloud consumer. So cloud consumer can browse the service catalog of the provider. Means there could be any cloud service provider which may be providing a single service, a single resource as a service, or maybe multiple services to their consumers. So a cloud consumer can browse the what are the services providing by the cloud service provider, and if any service is of its uses of its interest, then it can request for service depending on the activity uses scenario. Like a single service can be provisioned in multiple ways on a subscription basis, on a pay per use basis, and various other models provided by the cloud service provider. So cloud consumer can request the service as per its activity or its usage scenario. He can choose various among the various options available with the cloud service provider. It can set up the service contract with the provider. There may be any contract also, like if any consumer is going to rely on the cloud service provider, but the services are not being provisioned on time, maybe availability is not as per their commitments, then what are the things, what are the points which can be raised, to which the issues can be raised, and how they can be catered or how they can be solved. So they can go under a contract generally called as the SLA. SLA is service level agreement. Yes, we will discuss it. And it can maybe billed for the service. Yes, if they are utilizing the service, there would be a bill which would be billed by the cloud service provider to the consumer. So it could be billed for the software as a service, SAS. These are the delivery model, service delivery model we would be discussing in the next lecture. And the consumes may be billed based on the number of users, time of the usage, NAT bandwidth, and the storage volume. Means the bill can be billed on the basis of the number of users, maybe the computation resources utilized by them, or maybe according to the processing, storage, network resources, number of virtual machines, calls, number of IP used, NAT bandwidth, storage volume, or maybe a single package, subscription package as well. So consumers need SLAs to specify their performance requirement to be fulfilled by the provider. It may be from any side, like any consumer can ask for the SLA document, or maybe the party, the cloud service provider may provide their SLAs list. Generally, they used to be fixed from the cloud service provider side. So they can go through the various terms and conditions defined under this agreement. So we can define SLA as a service level agreement, which is a contract between the provider and the cloud service consumer. This SLA guarantee about the services as per his commitment. Like if any cloud service provider is committing, like there would be availability of more than 90%, but if he is not able, he is unable to fulfilling its statement, then what are the points, what are the things that could be followed to cater this situation? Because the cloud consumer is relying on the cloud service provider's commitment, but if the services are not being provisioned as per their commitment, its whole operation is going to be suffered just because of the negligence of the cloud service provider. So this agreement ensures the quality of the service as well as the provision how to handle in the case of negligence, in the case of non commitment fulfillment. So for an example, there could be some parameters in SLAs for particularly infrastructure as a service type of service delivery. It could be parameters could be like CPU capacity, how much the CPU capacity they would be required. There could be a memory size, means how much the memory size, at least minimum memory size they would be needing. The boot time, how much boot time, minimum or maximum boot time that would be required in case of services. The storage minimum and the maximum we can define is the minimum storage required by the consumer. And the scale up, like already we know the cloud computing as have a very good feature or property like elasticity, we can call it. Anytime we can scale up and scale down our requirements, the cloud consumer can scale up and scale down its requirements. So scale up and scale down, like up to what extent we can scale up our services, our requirements, and up to which level we can scale down our requirements or the resources. and the time needed for both. In both cases, scale up, what the time is required, like on requesting for scaling up, it will take minimum or maximum what time to providing that scaled resources, and the availability, like how up to which time extent the services would be available for their consumers. So come to the next actor is cloud service provider, which is very important element, or I must say the actor in this model, because many of things is being relied is on this actor, as well as this is the key actor which is working for provisioning of the services, for deploying of the services, and for management of the resources, as well as management of the services. So what it can do, it acquires and manages the computing infrastructures, means the ultimately resources, the physical resources to be deployed at the cloud service side in the form of data centers. It runs the cloud software, makes the services available to the interested parties. Like there used to be a various resources, and to manage these resources there could be various softwares. So the how to execute, how to run these softwares, and the make service available for the interested parties, or we can say the cloud consumers. Make arrangements, contract with the consumers. Yes, if there is any consumer want to consume the services of these cloud service provider, then it may be having a SLA contract, then need to cater these requirements. May also list SLA, promise to consumer, provider privacy policy, etc., etc. Already we had gone through. So ultimately, in a summary, we can call like cloud service provider is responsible, or the main activities service deployment, orchestration, service management, security, and privacy management. Auditor already we had discussed, just to ensure the quality of services of the cloud service provider. Yes, it may be any individual or maybe any third party. Cloud service broker having the three major activity. Intermediation means like if there is any cloud consumer and cloud service provider, they are not able to get a proper offer from the cloud service provider, any consumer, then it can make a intermediation between them and may provide a better offer from the cloud service provider. Aggregation already we had discussed, just to aggregating the services from the multiple cloud service provider into a single package. Arbitrage, to it is kind of a model where the cloud broker can place the services of the cloud service provider into multiple markets for the multiple I must say the multiple price reference models. So it can get the price difference, it can take the advantage of the price difference in multiple markets. So this is an example already we had discussed. Carriers, yes, this is kind of the thing we can have. This is the cloud provider and this is the consumer. They are connected directly to each other. It is kind of a two-way communication. They can interact to each other using this channel. And if I talk about the cloud auditor can get the some statistics from the consumer side, can the statistics from the cloud provider side, and can the statistics from the cloud broker as well, for analyzing the things, for ensuring the quality of services. So it is generally used to be a one way from cloud auditor to the this side. And if we talk about the cloud broker, it is again a two-way communication with the cloud consumer as well as with the cloud service provider as an intermediate. So these are the main cloud service management handled by the cloud service provider, like business support. These are the few things: accounting, billing, inventory, contract, customer management, pricing and rating, provisioning, configuration, rapid provisioning, resource change monitoring, metering, SLA management, and the portability and interoperability may be like data portability, service interoperability, and the system portability. So this was all about this model.